So here it is, F1 2021. But is it a magnum opus or just a sheep in wolf's clothing? Well, let's find out. F1 2021 is the first game under the new owners EA Sports, but how much has that impacted on this year's game? This is the second time EA has been involved in F1 gaming. The first time was in the year 2000 with F1 2000. This was a solid game, but EA, sensing they had a cash cow, then went and released pretty much the same game just 6 months later with F1 Championship Season. And the only improvements to that game was reflections on a wet track, the correct livery for the Arrows car, and an attempt to sort out the difficulty by removing the pit stop routine, so most of your rival cars did not stop, but you had to, or you would run out of fuel. And so it went on, year after year, and right through the PS2 era as well, just releasing the same game with very little improvements, until finally, by 2002, they lost the F1 license, and so produced their final ever game, F1 Career Challenge, in 2003. And then they were gone, with the license now solely in the hands of Studio Liverpool. Okay, so on to Breaking Point, the story-driven narrative and the big selling point for this game. But of course this is not the first time Codemasters have dabbled in a story-driven narrative. It started with Toka Race Driver, so it seems once again Codemasters are dipping into the what worked in the past pot and giving it another go.
Ho ho ho! It's been a tight race out there today, but out in front, in the lead is as ever Kyle Motor City McCain.
Yeah, Don, that boy really belongs to the people, doesn't he? They're loving it. But we should take a look at the rest of the drivers, right?
We certainly should. Look at car 57, British-born James Randall. At 21 years of age, this rookie is ripping up the track.
Whoa, did you see that?
Oh, I sure did. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more from this Randall guy.
Yeah, coming out of that final turn, Randall is really slugging it out for the number 2 spot.
Well, he isn't going to get any higher today as McCain passes the finish line for another spectacular finish.
Hey!
What the hell was that? I can't...
See, okay? Can anyone down there hear us?
Oh my goodness! Jim, this looks serious.
Could someone down there tell me what's going on? James Randall just blindsided McCain on the finish line. This looks bad.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. And McCain's 2 sons, Donnie and Ryan, are here today. Heaven only knows what's going through their minds right now. This is just horrible. It's hard to know what to say.
What can you say?
I don't think racing will ever see us like again.
So you can pick one of 5 teams and it's away you go.
Incredible race! Look at it! Every driver is being so aggressive! Check it out!
They'll all be feeling the pressure right now, none more so than young Aiden Jackson and Carlin.
That's right. Rumors from the paddock talk about a possible future for Jackson in Formula 1. And with only a few laps to go, this is still anyone's race.
The atmosphere here is electric, and we couldn't have asked for a better finish to the F2 season here in Abu Dhabi.
So, your first objective is to win in F2 at the final round in Abu Dhabi, and then you are picked up for a full season in Formula 1. Okay, first, the negatives. The CGI is a bit off. What is up with Claire's teeth? And why is X-Matty G on the top of the tablet? Oh, now we know why he called this game the best F1 game ever. And why, when Aiden's mum calls him, does she sound like a Filipino bondage mistress?
Hello, love. How's it going?
Alright, Ma. Yeah, it's going alright. Just getting ready.
I saw your interview.
And?
You need a haircut.
Alright. Well, thanks, I guess.
But aside from that, you were great. I'm so proud of you, Aiden.
I know, Ma. Thanks.
I wish I could be out there with you. This is everything you've worked towards.
That being said, it wasn't a bad experience, if a little cliched. I was expecting Michelle to turn up at one point and claim Federico really was the father of her baby. So not essential, and certainly not the only reason you should buy this game. So what's left after Breaking Point? Well, the showroom is back, so you get to see all those 2021 cars and liveries in all their glory, including the F2, but sadly so far only the 2020 F2 cars are available. Once again, there is a selection of liveries that you can customise, and once again, all the better liveries you have to pay extra for. New for 2021 is the victory radio call, which you can select if you win a race.
Thank you. I need a moment.
Once again, there is a whole menu just for esports, and the multiplayer now has tons of options depending on your skill level. The Kerbs have been re-profiled this year. If your car hits them now, you will jump up in the air and go offline. If you spent most of 2020 getting corner cut warnings, this may not be the game for you. Online, at least in open lobbies, is pretty much the same as F1 2020. I can't see any improvements to last year's game. The damage has been improved this year. You can now get side pod damage, which will slow down your car. The trouble is, you're more likely to lose a wheel way before you get a hit in the side hard enough for you to get any damage. The graphics are pretty much the same as last year's, at least on PS4. Don't forget, this is still using the same game engine, and we'll have to wait until a standalone title on PS5, where hopefully they will finally build a new game engine. The handling is slightly different, but if you had no problems with F1 2020, you will soon adapt to the subtle tweaks in this game. One thing to note is this game has loads of options, and there are so many controller button options it's hard to map the pad just how you like it. The highlights have finally been improved, and you can now save the replays, although they are limited to views from just your car. Yes, my team is back. The highlight of last year's game returns pretty much the same as before. You can either manage your own team or just be a driver driving in any of the teams from the 2021 season. One of the good things they have improved is the R&D development. You now get a clearer interface, and you can see in 3D models what these parts actually are, as opposed to an R&D tree. Yes, there is a 2-player career, but at the moment you cannot skip the session times, but after practice 1 you can skip to qualify. One thing to note is if you're looking for the option to have your car have random failures, you have to select the expert race style, but don't panic and think that you have to race with no assists. The assists that you have selected remain in place whatever style of racing you picked. Sadly, there are only 20 tracks in this game, but Codemasters will be adding the 3 missing tracks in a future update, but the track revisions to Australia and Spain will not be included in this year's game. So to sum up, and unfortunately the classic cars have been removed from F1 2021, but this is another solid F1 game from Codemasters, and I award it 7.5 out of 10. I don't know if the price justifies the content, to be honest, and I suppose we will have to wait until next year to see the full effect of EA Sports taking over Codemasters.